This is another day. Talk about some of the changes that I've made since my prior walk in just a minute. I did want to finish some thoughts on YouTube and vlogging. I hope if you stick with these videos for a little while that you'll start to see some improvements as I learn what I'm doing, what's working, what's not working, things that are obvious to probably everybody else that you watch vlogs from. But I am intending to make these as interesting and useful as possible. So one thing that I'm considering is whether I need to bring earbuds with a microphone or not. In my first video, there was a little bit of a breeze and the noise from the wind over the microphone, just the raw microphone on the camera, on the phone, was a bit intrusive. I don't know that earbuds with a mic will make it better, but I suspect it will be easier to muffle the wind, protect the mic from the wind if I do that. It does mean additional weight, not much, but one thing I've learned through hiking is that every ounce, every half an ounce, every tenth of an ounce adds up. So trying to keep my pack as light as possible so that I can hike as far as I can without risking stress fractures, and easier to catch myself if I stumble if my pack doesn't weigh a lot of pounds. So while I'm learning about vlogging, I will pay attention to YouTube comments from anyone that has ideally constructive criticism or suggestions of things that would make my videos more pleasant to listen to, less distracting perhaps, or anything else that you feel would be an improvement. I won't necessarily be able to do everything that everyone suggests, but I will take it all into account. So once I get out on trail, I'm anticipating having videos published somewhere between every 1 and 3 days. One day might be a lot. I don't want this to be an enormous distraction to my hike. The purpose of this hike is to do the hike, and as I said, to be in the moment. So we'll see how that plays out. Probably has a lot to do with the kinds of topics that come up as I'm walking down the trail with no one to talk to but myself. So I hope you stick with me for a little while and see how things go. Conditions today are very similar to conditions on my last walk. 32 degrees Fahrenheit, getting started, sunny skies, warm sun. Feels like a beautiful spring day. We're not into spring yet here, but it feels like it. So learning from my last walk was the clothing that I was wearing was far warmer than necessary for that temperature, those conditions. By the time I got home, all of my layers, top and bottom, were very damp. That's not ideal. I do like being warm, but being wet is not a good plan when you're out hiking. If the weather were to turn chilly during the day and you're wet, all of a sudden you can get cold and even dangerously cold. So today I made one simple change. I took my buff off, or chose not to wear my buff today. That was completely unnecessary last hike. And we'll see, while I'm going here, I can feel myself warming up. Perhaps I'll take this alpha fleece off and go down to just my base layer and a sun shirt. We'll see. Either way, I'm happy with the learning that I'm accomplishing prior to getting out on the trail. Another gear change in this video that you probably noticed is my backpack. When I first started adding weight to my training walks, I was carrying 9 pounds of water, and that was pretty light. So I just put it in a day pack and called it good. My last hike that you saw in this video, I had upped that by 2 pounds, so I was up to 11 pounds in the pack, and I did my normal 11-mile route, and it was getting to be a little bit much for that backpack. It does have a hip belt, which helps, but it's frameless, so it was not as comfortable as I would prefer. So this time I decided it was time to switch to my regular backpack. It's a ULA Equipment Ohm 2, I believe it is. Definitely an Ohm. I think it's the number 2. Anyhow, it has a lightweight internal frame, just a little tube that goes in on the inside in the back to help transfer the weight from the pack down to the hip belt so that it's not as heavy on the shoulders. My hips are much more able to carry weight than my shoulders. So this pack is recommended for up to about 35 pounds, which just happens to be what I expect my maximum weight to be when you include a full supply of food and water coming out of a town after a resupply. So 11 pounds in this pack, and it feels like nothing. My legs know that it's not nothing. I will be fatigued. I'm always fatigued when I get done with my walks, but as far as my back and my shoulders go, it feels like nothing. It's wonderful. So if you're an observant person, you may take that last statement of me being fatigued at the end of an 11-mile walk with 11 pounds of weight is a pretty good indicator that I have no chance of finishing the PCT with 30 plus pounds and 20 or eventually 30-mile days. So a couple thoughts on that. First, this is why I'm doing training walks. I know that in my normal life, I'm not prepared to jump out onto a 5-month trail and think that I'm just gonna get flying from the start. So I'm gradually adding weight Today, I also decided to add some distance. I was feeling good, so I walked past my typical turnaround point. We'll see, maybe I'll go an extra mile on the out, which means another mile on the way home. But gradually increasing the work that I'm doing so that I'm better prepared for starting on the trail. Another consideration is that my training walks, I've been at a pretty consistent pace over several weeks, or few weeks anyhow, of about 3.8 miles per hour, according to my Garmin watch. That's fast for a backpacker. I know I won't be anywhere near that on trail. My typical trail speed on a good day, on average, up and down terrain, is about 2.5 miles per hour. So adding weight and adding distance will naturally slow that pace down. But for now, it feels good and appropriate to be keeping a higher pace so that my body is feeling like it's normal to walk at a reasonably good pace. Then when I get out on trail and I'm slowing down, that'll feel pretty comfortable. So that's about all for this video. If you're interested in keeping up with my future videos, I'll do not a lot, but a couple more training videos, and then up to the probably every other day once I get on the PCT. Anyhow, if you're interested in keeping up, I would suggest that you click the subscribe button in YouTube. Because I'm so new to YouTube and I don't have a huge following, my videos will be pretty well buried. I congratulate you for finding this one. You're probably family or friend that I've coerced into watching in the first place. But as my videos are likely to be buried, if you want to keep up, subscribing is the most likely way to be able to find without a bunch of searching. So go ahead and subscribe if you want. Thank you for watching, and I hope to see you in the future.